You're watching Truth Talk News.
I came here purposefully to underscore that in today's global world, there is no longer anything foreign about foreign policy.
Skull and Bones New World Order minion, Secretary of State John Kerry gave his first major foreign policy speech today. In his address, delivered at the University of Virginia, he discussed tackling climate change. Interesting, right? What does climate change have to do with foreign policy? Well, when you're a minion of the New World Order and you're trying to erase the borders of the world and this globalization, this world of globalized, no borders world. I mean, after all, you can go through Europe without having to worry about it. Why can't we just do this all over the world? Why can't we just have a collectivist socialist society where the oligarchs tell everybody what to do and people don't like it? They just keep putting police and military-esque forces on the streets to quell problems. I mean, things are so bad in Bulgaria. It's unbelievable, but true. Bulgaria's government resigned on Wednesday after violent nationwide protests against high power prices, joining a long list of European administrations felled by austerity during Europe's debt crisis. Now, this is where they're bringing this. Now, all of this John Kerry stuff is just, again, a distraction, talking about global warming. Everyone to believe that these climate-changing problems are all a result of global warming. The biggest fraud after the Federal Reserve crime syndicate. And interestingly enough, there's this big Heinz deal that happened with Berkshire Hathaway. You know, remember Warren Buffett? The so-called, him and Gates, the so-called richest men in the world. What a joke that is. If they're the richest men in the world, I own the Brooklyn Bridge. The truth of the matter is that, yeah, it's a part of a major deception. In this case, we can clearly see how this is unfolding. Again, they're sort of like J.P. Morgan was sort of like the front person for the Rothschilds. They're front people. You know, a little bit of stagecraft and a little bit of glitz and glamour and Madison Avenue shine. But the truth is, the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers are the main players in this game. And the game is to take away your liberty, your freedom, while you willfully give them money for things that they profit on that you think you need, but you really don't. Read Propaganda by Edward Bernays for further understanding of that. Then we have this Heinz thing. Interestingly enough, our Secretary of State, the globalist, global warming pusher, was married to Heinz family. I think he profited $670,000 from this recent acquisition by Berkshire Hathaway. Again, there's just so much money floating around with this situation. And then there's some improper tradings. Isn't that true? Now, I'm going to get back to Kerry in a minute, but I'm just on this Bulgarian thing. It's unbelievable. So, Prime Minister Boyko Borisov, a former bodyguard who swept into power in 2009 on pledges to root out corruption and raise standards of living in the European Union's poorest member, now faces a tough task to prop up eroding support ahead of a probable early election. Bulgaria's government resigned today, Wednesday, February 20th, after 2013, after a violent nationwide protest against these high power prices. Now, we talk about energy, he's talking about energy, and everyone's talking about this, and we have to have these green energy and all this new stuff. It's all going to continue. It's not what we think it is. It is not all of it. I agree. We need to have clean energy. See how they use this Hegelian method. Yes, we need clean energy. We need to get off the fossil fuels and anything that's bad. But they own that and they control that. And they don't want that to happen. But they're giving all the inclinations that they do. And they're funding all the opposition to it. And they're funding all the people that are for it. So it's a wonderful way that they can control this whole transition to alternative fuel, which will not cost less for the consumer. It always costs more. It always brings us closer to serfdom, to being dependent on a world socialist totalitarian government, which is what's being set into place. And John Kerry is a big cog to move this wheel forward. So we have to stop him. We have to wake the people up to the truth that he is from Skull and Bones. He is put in place to bring in the New World Order and discusses it. He talks about it openly as far as agreeing with using comments in his speech today that Bush said in 1991.
What is at stake is more than one small country. It is a big idea, a new world order, where diverse nations are drawn together in common cause to achieve the universal aspirations of mankind: peace and security, freedom, and the rule of law.
So they are of all the same ilk and the same thought process. That is why it works. That is why they see nothing wrong with it, and they feel that they are doing a good thing for humanity. Meanwhile, we have a rising police state because the people are at unrest, like here in Bulgaria. Wage and pension freezes and tax hikes have bitten deep into a country where standard of livings are less than half of the EU average, and tens of thousands of Bulgarians have rallied in protests that have turned violent, chanting "Mafia" and "Resign." On Tuesday, 11 people were hospitalized, including one man bleeding heavily from the head, and 11 were arrested after protesters threw flares at police who fought demonstrators with shields and truncheons. "I will not participate in a government under which police are beating people," is what Borisov said, who began his career guarding the Black Sea's state communist dictator Todor Zivkov. And the spark of the protest was for high electricity bills after the government raised prices by 13% last July. Government-controlled pricing, government-controlled electrical, government-controlled. You see, we're moving into this thing. Everything is big government. We need more money. They want to cut this money. They're complaining about 800,000. Pentagon's going to lay off 800,000 people. It's a lie, okay? It is not true. And it is also not true that this tremendous detriment to our budget. It doesn't do anything. It's not even affecting actual cuts. Wake up. It's just they're talking about reducing what would be considered not actual spending cuts, but instead of there being increases, they're reducing the increases. They call that a cut. The sheeple, we the sheeple, we will believe anything that MSNBC, CNN, and Fox News tell us. So we've got major problems here. I mean, Europe is melting down. It's coming here. I mean, this big Ponzi scheme is going to explode. There's all these problems. Everything is all falling apart. But nobody wants to try it. They want to say that it's all about climate change. And we've got to invest in doing something about climate change for our children and grandchildren. Or so Kerry says. Unbelievable. So we have this major situation here going on. I mean, a government resigning. Imagine that. The basic government. Everybody just says, the hell with it. You people are all corrupt, evil bastards. It's wonderful. Wish it would happen here, to be honest. What do we have here? We have Jesse Jackson Jr.
Jesse Jackson Jr. also told the judge, quote, "I used monies that should have been for campaign purposes." He is pleading guilty to a felony. This is a felony, conspiracy to commit wire fraud, mail fraud, and false statements. The judge also asked him about his state of mind, you know, getting a sense of, was he aware of what was happening in the proceedings?
Of course he was aware. He's a criminal. He's part of the criminal cartel establishment that has hijacked the good people. Doesn't matter what it is. If it's a senator, then you got 12 years. That's 6 years, and 6 years. That's a long time. Even 12 years is a long time, ladies and gentlemen. That's when you think about it. We really have to address this. These cozy relationships between corporations and corporate interests, like here in my state, Chris Murphy is such a scum, and you know, and he it just gets to me, because he's moving up in this chain of command in the state here with the power structure, and now he is a senator. And remember, this is a congressman who had voted, or I should say, co-sponsored a bill to audit the Federal Reserve, and then when the bill came up for vote, voted against it. This is what we have. We have corrupt individuals that are not out there for the best interests of the people. They're out there for the best interests of themselves, for the most part, and to bring in this new world order, whether they are complicit in it. What I mean by that is that they're aware that there is a new world order, like, you know, Bush talked about it and Clinton talked about it.
And after 1989, President Bush said, and it was a phrase that I often use myself, that we needed a new world order.
I think its task will be to develop an overall strategy for America in this period when really a new world order can be created. It's a great opportunity. It isn't just a crisis.
Whether they're complicit in it directly or that their ideologies fall into form with it, and that's why they've been selected. In either case, America is at the greatest risk and peril in its great history. And this threat comes from within, funded by internationalists who wish to remove the barriers of nations and bring together a one world, a unified world. Well, that's the spin. The truth is, it's a one world dictatorial government where all aspects of human life are under their control. These oligarchs, those in the Council on Foreign Relations, the Bilderberg Group, the owners of the major corporations, the small group of only 147 companies that control more or less all the commerce in the world, and the owners of those companies and banks. This is the New World Order. They wish to depopulate the earth. I had a report here. Female fertility. So human male sperm count and female fertility are declining. It is clear that some of the chemical pollutants that can affect the endocrinal or the endocrinal hormonal system may also interfere with the development processes of humans and wildlife species, the report declared. The international group academics who worked under this umbrella of the United Nations Environmental and Health Agencies and the World Health Organization, who issued these findings, updating a 2002 study on the potential dangers of synthetic chemicals. Declaring this a global threat to the that needs to be resolved, the team said humans and animals across the planet were probably exposed to hundreds of these often little studied or understood components at any one time. And of course, we know that all of these problems are true. But the pharmaceutical industry does play a big role in this. It's not really, it is just the tip of the iceberg, as this has been mentioned in the article here, which is from Reuters on February 19th, written by Robert Evan. Great article. Read it on Reuters. Using studies of the effects of the chemicals on humans and animals, the team added that a link to EDCs could be suspected in breast and prostate cancer, diabetes, infertility, asthma, obesity, strokes, Alzheimer's, and Parkinson's diseases. So it's starting to all make sense here. Okay. It's unbelievable. We are under attack. But now we know who the enemy is. And remember, research all this information. Seek the truth, and ye shall find it. There is only one truth, and that is the truth. Seek, and ye shall find it. I think I said that already. I'm Howard Nima. Thanks for watching Truth Talk News.